What if everything you've been told about life, purpose, identity, meaning, was just a beautifully packaged illusion? What if your job, your beliefs, your name, weren't you at all? We live in a world addicted to surface, drowning in distractions but starving for truth. Today, we're tearing down that illusion. This isn't just another philosophical question. Why are we here? Is the spark that ignites a deeper awakening, an existential revelation that demands a response. Behind every routine, every title, every mask, there is a raw, unfiltered self waiting to break free. This is not a theory. It's a call, a revolution, a spiritual awakening, an invitation to step beyond the system and into your true purpose. The big question: why are we here? It's the one question that refuses to go away. It echoes beneath every human achievement, behind every heartbreak, every quiet night, every restless mind. You can silence your phone, you can fill your schedule, but eventually, it finds you. In the spaces in between, in the silence you cannot outrun. This question is not new. Ancient civilizations turned to the stars for answers. Prophets, poets, and philosophers gave it shape through myths, scriptures, and symphonies. From the Vedic chants to the Stoic meditations, from tribal rituals to modern physics, humanity has never stopped asking what it means to exist. Yet for many, the question is no longer sacred. It's terrifying. In a world built on algorithms, productivity, and performance, to ask why you are here is to risk discovering that everything you've built might not be enough. That beneath the job, the relationships, the routine, there's an unnamed hunger. That's the existential crisis. Not just wondering what life means, but wondering if you've missed it. But here's the truth. That crisis is a doorway. The discomfort is not a curse. It is a signal that your soul is still alive. It's the friction between who you are and who you're pretending to be. And asking why you're here is not a breakdown. It's the beginning of a breakthrough. This video is not here to give you one answer. It's here to open a space, to offer a framework for exploring the many truths that different thinkers, traditions, and inner voices have offered over time. It's not about arriving at certainty. It's about awakening to the mystery. Because maybe the question itself is the compass. Maybe purpose isn't something to find. Maybe it's something to remember. If we want to understand why we're here, we must turn to those who spent their lives asking that very question. Philosophy isn't just abstract theory. It's the language of the soul searching for structure. And when it comes to life's purpose, a few names echo louder than the rest. Aristotle believed that everything in nature has a telos, an end, a goal, a reason for being. For human beings, that telos is eudaimonia, often translated as flourishing, or the good life. But for Aristotle, flourishing isn't found in wealth or status. It's cultivated through virtue, through living in accordance with reason, balance, and ethical excellence. He writes, "Happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence." In his view, to live well is to live rightly, to train the soul like a muscle through habit, discipline, and reflection. Centuries later, Friedrich Nietzsche came to dismantle many of these traditional ideas. Where Aristotle sought harmony, Nietzsche demanded confrontation, with illusion, with comfort, with conformity. He saw modern life as hollow, guided by borrowed morals and herd mentality. In response, he proposed the idea of the Übermensch, the overman, who creates value from chaos and shapes purpose in the absence of divine order. "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how," he wrote, echoing the raw human need for meaning even in suffering. Nietzsche's view is uncompromising. Meaning is not given, it is forged. Then there is Jean-Paul Sartre, who stripped away the idea of essence altogether. He famously declared, "Existence precedes essence." In other words, we are not born with purpose. We are born, and then we define it. For Sartre, freedom is both a gift and a burden. There is no pre-written script. Every choice, every action, every silence becomes a declaration of who we are. He wrote, "Man is nothing else but what he makes of himself." This is the core of existentialism, the radical freedom to create your own identity, your own values, your own reason for being, even in a godless universe. These three perspectives offer no comfort, but they do offer clarity. Aristotle reminds us that a life of virtue gives shape to our humanity. Nietzsche urges us to break free from borrowed truths and write our own code. Sartre throws us into the void and tells us to build from scratch. And in all three, we find a common thread. Purpose is not passive. It is active, lived, built from the inside out. So maybe the point isn't to find one answer. Maybe it's to realize that meaning isn't something we receive. It's something we choose over and over again. In every moment, we dare to live with awareness. Across centuries and continents, in temples and deserts, through chants, prayers, and sacred texts, one answer has echoed through the human spirit. You are here because you were made to be. For Christianity, the purpose of life is anchored in divine relationship. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, says the psalmist. To be here is not an accident, it is a calling. Life, in this view, is a gift from God, and meaning is found through love, redemption, and service. Love the Lord your God, and love your neighbor as yourself. This dual command, to connect upward and outward, is not just morality, it's identity. In the Christian narrative, your existence is part of a greater story, one that stretches from creation to eternity. Buddhism, by contrast, begins not with a creator, but with awakening. Life is suffering, said the Buddha, but suffering can be understood and transcended. The purpose is not to worship, but to see clearly, to peel away illusion, to walk the eightfold path, and to dissolve the ego's grip. In doing so, you move beyond craving, beyond fear, toward nirvana. Not a place, but a state of liberation. Here, meaning is not something given. It is something realized, breath by breath, in deep awareness of the present. In Islam, purpose is submission, not blind obedience, but conscious alignment with divine will. I did not create the jinn and mankind except to worship me, says the Quran. Worship here is not confined to ritual. It is embedded in daily life, in justice, in generosity, in the pursuit of knowledge. The Muslim lives with taqwa, an awareness of God in all things, and trusts that this life is a test, a preparation for the eternal. The soul's journey is sacred, guided by mercy, and tethered to divine justice. And yet, even within these traditions, there is diversity of interpretation, of emphasis, of personal relationship to the sacred. Some see heaven and hell as destinations, others as states of being. Some find God in Scripture, others in silence. Faith, in its essence, is not a cage. It is a path, sometimes narrow, sometimes wide, but always walked in mystery. What religion offers is not certainty, but context. A compass for the soul, a story to inhabit, a sense that your existence has intention, that you are not wandering lost in the void, but unfolding in the hands of something greater. And whether you kneel in prayer, sit in meditation, or stand in wonder beneath the stars, the invitation is the same, to remember that your life is not random, it is sacred. What if no one can hand you the answer, because you are the answer? There comes a moment when borrowed beliefs no longer fit, when ancient texts feel distant, and even philosophy begins to echo like someone else's voice. That's when something deeper awakens. The quiet, unmistakable knowing that the meaning of your life is not written in the stars, it's written in your choices. Meaning, in the most personal sense, is not something you find. It's something you build. You build it in the questions you dare to ask and the truths you refuse to abandon. You build it in stillness, when you pause long enough to hear what your heart has been whispering beneath the noise. And you build it in motion, when your actions reflect your deepest values, when your presence becomes a gift to the world around you. Start with introspection, not the kind that spirals into overthinking, but the kind that leads you inward with compassion. Ask, what moves me? What breaks me? What makes me feel alive or small or powerful or free? These are not distractions. They are clues. Live with mindfulness. Notice the way the sun hits the pavement. Notice how you speak when no one's watching. Notice when your soul says yes and when it recoils in silence. Meaning hides in the details. The mundane is sacred when you're awake enough to see it. And above all, contribute. Even the smallest act of service can become a thread in something far larger than yourself. When you show up for someone else, when you create, when you forgive, when you protect something fragile, you are not just passing time. You are participating in meaning. This journey is not linear. You will lose your way. You will question everything. And that too is sacred. Because meaning is not a destination. It's a practice. A lifelong dance between becoming and remembering. In the end, maybe the purpose of life isn't to find meaning once and for all, but to keep showing up as if life has meaning, and to let that commitment transform you. You're not here to follow someone else's map. You're here to draw your own. One step, one breath, one choice at a time. What if the beauty of life is not in the answers, but in the courage to live without them? We ask, why are we here? And the universe answers with silence, not because it's indifferent, but because it's listening. Because perhaps the question itself is a kind of prayer, a reaching, a becoming. The truth is, we do not know, and maybe we never will. The meaning of life is too vast for any single creed, too fluid for any one philosophy, too sacred to be pinned down by certainty. But that doesn't make the search pointless. It makes it profound. To embrace the unknown is not to surrender. It is to open. To breathe in the chaos and say, I am still here. I will still choose to love. I will still create, wonder, question, fall, rise, and keep walking. Because life isn't a riddle to be solved. It's a song to be sung, even when you don't know the melody. So let yourself be curious. Let yourself be broken. Let yourself be in awe. This path you're on, uncertain, imperfect, unfinished, is yours. And that alone gives it meaning. You are not lost. You are unfolding. And that is enough. And now, I invite you. Take a moment today, just one, to ask yourself, what is your journey of meaning? To embrace the unknown, to step forward into the mystery. Share your thoughts with us in the comments, and let's continue this conversation together. Because this search, it's not just yours, it's all of ours.